special interview with the Bishop of the Lutheran Church in Liberia, the Right Reverend Dr. Victor Padmore. We've come to talk about the Lutheran Bangabong County, and we want to know planned activities, the vision for the church, what the church hopes to achieve after this interview. And that's a day.
Good morning. I'm okay, and thank you for coming to talk with me. It's a pleasure being on ITV.
Where we with the preparation of the anniversary, and how many years now? How many years celebration you have in the first year?
Well, things have been fine, as much as national difficulties, but the things have been fine because most especially we are grateful to God for the length of time and numbers of the major roles it has played in this country. Evangelistically, educationally, and also medically. As you know, those who may not know, our church is one of the oldest churches of this country. And like I said to somebody somewhere, that it is the oldest Lutheran church in Africa. And they will try to debate it, but our church came to Liberia around 1860. Before this time, the founder of this church, around 1850, it was charged with the responsibility of coming to establish a mission in Africa, in West Africa especially, and his visit to Morris officer, Rev Dr. Morris officer, and his visit to Sierra Leone landed him into Liberia, and then he went back home and felt that Liberia was a good place to start a Lutheran mission. When he spoke to his church organization, and they gave him the authority to go ahead, but he was supposed to raise that funding, which he did. So early 1860, in April, he landed in Liberia with a helper, one assistant, and they began to negotiate the issue of this establishment of a mission. And personally, he was lucky to have met with President Benson that time. And then the government agreed and gave them 300 acres of land in the Harrisburg-Maysbury region where the mission was started. Since that time, our church has been ongoing with Ministry of Education, Ministry of Evangelism, and also medical works. As you recall in our history, we were one of those first persons, a group of people in this country to even open nursing health services where we have nursing school. And our first graduation around 1925, graduated about 3 students. But the history has been going on for all of those days. And it's good that we are gathering to remember 165 years of active ministry in this country. Training witness to all of Liberia. So this church is, now we call it a blessing. We are grateful for that. And we've gone through 3 stages of time. The first stage, our church was known as a real missionary church. And that time, the mission has just come in the early 1800s. The second stage went from 1947 to 1965. But the first stage, it was completely missionary oriented. Everything was done by missionaries. And in the second stage, it was like a combination of missionaries and indigenous people. So if the leadership was headed by a missionary, the co-chairperson or the vice president, then that time was called, was then a Liberian. So, but even in this stage, most of the decision of the church was done by missionaries. By this time, the last stage where we now enjoy started from 1965 to present, where we have totally, exclusively indigenous leadership. That is our last stage where we are now. From 1965 to present, all of our leaders have been indigenous Liberians, and almost all of our ministers are also Liberian, and that's where we are right now.
165 years of existence. What can you say how far the church have come, and moving to this anniversary, what particular are you celebrating, and what particular do you hope to achieve after the celebration?
Thank you, Ada. Our church has come so far. Presently, one of the biggest things we can boast of right now is that our mission, though, was started in Harrisburg, Middlesbrough area, around the St. Paul River, went along upon the St. Paul River and got as far as the Norfolk County. So came back down to Monrovia. 1957 was the first time the church became coming back to Monrovia. After it went up into Norfolk, 1945. And then we came back to Monrovia in 1957. And then we have been having ministry. Hospitals, we have hospitals in Zoso. We have clinics almost everywhere around this country. Our church that time was so instrumental when there were no roads going any part of this country so easily. We had an airplane ministry, and that ministry went and picked up patients and took doctors and nurses and teachers to the different sectors of Liberia to provide services. Now, as I speak to you, our last attempt has been, and successful one is, we now have a church in Riverside County, the last county of this corner, where we now have our. So our church is planted in all of the 50 counties of this corner. It's a boost. We are proud that we can be found everywhere. Now you ask me, what do we hope to look for at this? Why are we going to aiming at this celebration? What we're happening after this celebration? What do we hope to see? You know, to live 165 years is a boost. And we must be grateful. So the first thing we want to do in Bangla this coming weekend would be to be grateful to God for our existence. Nothing has interrupted our existence and our unity. There were attempts, but still God kept us together, and we are still working as one group of people, and we are proud of that. And we give God that glory. But on the other hand, as much as we are as old as we are, there is a problem. Financial support is a problem. Our church has in its vision, we must be self-governing, we must be self-supported, and we should be self-propagated. I mean, the Lutherans in Liberia should be able to propagate, to preach the gospel everywhere. We are doing that. But how do we sustain these ministries of ours, our hospitals, our schools, and all of those things are the problem we now have. What's more with this difficult situation in financial issues in this world, not only in this country, the whole world is faced with financial. So how do we assist people who are helping us to continue to survive? We cannot lay all of our burdens on the laps of our sponsor, our partners. As a church, individually, parish, and individuals of this church should now begin thinking about how do we support our church? How do we own it ourselves? So at this 165 celebration, we have some topics for panel discussion. One of those that I will quickly just jump to you is ensuring financial independence, alternative for funding and investment strategy for the LCA.
Why is this significant for the Church of Islam?
Well, it's significant because you cannot own something you cannot support. We have our children reborn, right? They need our support. So as a church, yes, we have been assisted by our partners, by our friends overseas, but it's becoming difficult. It's necessary because if at this point, especially for your generation, if nothing is put in place, we still stand the risk of being totally reliant on others. It's not bad, but we must tell people that we are able. We cannot just give our whole life to people helping us and helping us, and we're not able to do it. As a result, if that becomes the case, then we'll never go anywhere. We'll remain at this level. We think we need to graduate from the total reliance on others.
Do you think the church has the capacity to raise domestic support and address the challenges or the vision that you have for the church?
We do. The first thing is, we as members of this church, if we decide that we want to, we can. That's the first place. You can't. I know we have a little more than 120,000 members of this church, right? We can. But secondly, our church is blessed. We still have land, and I think if we and the pressure on Liberia gauging the soil for sustainability, we ourselves with these good portions of land, and we gauge them, find ways to support the projects of doing agriculture and redeveloping our land, we can make it. What I've noticed around is that I'm seeing most of our friend churches, our sister churches, they are engaged into the soil, and they are living on that. We can do the same. And that's what I said, if the members are willing and say we give up our time to the service of our church in the different areas, we can make it. We have infrastructures that needs to be organized and re-identified and then put into proper use. We can do that. So it's not a big thing. I don't see that. Well, I see that as people call it a challenge, but I see that as an opportunity because we can make it happen. Our church has opportunities to go for.
Your church have been struggling with the issue of self-governance over the years, and one thing you say in your message, you tend to change that narrative. How?
I don't know what you call self-governance. What we are doing right now with governance, we don't have much a problem. We have a problem with self-support. Self-support. With governance, yes, but what we are doing right now is we are engaging supporters for our church to train our human resources. We're trying to train people in every areas of life. So we show that if we can have trained people, governance will not be a problem for us. It's not that much a problem for us right now, but because of the old generation passing out, so we still need to enforce the younger generation to engage into being trained in different capacities. Not only ministers of the gospel, but even in different capacities. We even need hotel managers, we need just name them, right? And all of these things can happen. Like I said, our church got land. So if our church is capacitated to build some hotels, we have managers, they can manage it, the church will move on. So leadership is not quite a big issue for us. The only reason why it is an issue because we may not have places where people work, so people struggle over small things. But we have trained manpower. We have enough trained manpower. But what we need to do is how do we sustain the programs we have? And that's the financial sustainability. That is our biggest issue right now in this country. All I'm hoping to do is to see how we can rise up for that. So what I've begun doing is engaging people to help us develop some of our land. We have a forest in Upper Lofa. We're trying to see how we can reserve that forest. And we have other areas that like LCI, we're trying to rebuild and open the agricultural component of that. Actually, we are doing some animals and husbandry, and we're about to open up a fishery. We also want to open the lowlands fund and do what the people call agriculture, where you have both the fish growing among the rest, right? And those are other ways that people can do to acquire funding. So I want us to look at the possibilities. Right now, that's what we're doing.
Bishop, one other issue many of your members want to hear from the bishop. How far is this university? You tend to have a conversation when you're doing the anniversary in Banga.
The university is, we've gone far. We've got the accreditation from the government. We're running, we have 4 years for our first trial, and we've gone a year. President has spoken to you guys a little right now in the next 2 minutes, which I will ask you all. I have a meeting with the university team, but we already have the nursing college ongoing. We have the theological college ongoing. We have the educational college ongoing. We're trying to see how we can negotiate to start the sciences and technical vocational program. Because everybody will not be able to go to other university courses, but they can do technical vocational courses as the source of income. But university, at present, as I speak to you, we got a little more than 600 students at most, right? So yes, it's going. But again, it boils down to the issue of funding. one of the things we want to be raising at the Founders Day is this. We must be able to own that university by supporting it. And not just say, oh, I got a school, you cannot support the school. And that's one of the reasons. We have a panel discussion time on the university. How do we move on with the full support of the university? You can't say we want a school and we cannot support it.
Is there something very important at this Founders Day, at this celebration in Bangladesh that you want to know, you want the public to know?
Yes. I've just mentioned a few of them. One of them is a grateful Thanksgiving service. We're going to be thankful to God for the assistance for War 165. No conflict, no fight, still united, proclaiming the gospel as it is, performing our task. No, we don't have any breakaway. No breakaway. Our hospital doors struggle, but they are still ongoing. But also, like I said to you, now our church have fought and cried for a higher institutional learning. We have one. We need to discuss how we maintain that. Two, like I said earlier, we need to discuss the means of fundraising for not only the university, but for all of our programs. The next thing we're also going to look at our Founders Day is we're looking at moving our church to another level. Right now, we want to have we have only one bishop, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's difficult for one person to be everywhere at the same time. It's a possibility of us. What we want to do is have a second set. We already have, but want to make it full-time. We want to discuss the possibility of a full-time district dean. Those who are representing the bishop in the very region are referred to as deans. And if those deans can be full-time and well-established and work fine, then we run to the stage of making those districts a synod. In the synod, you can be able to establish partnership with outside churches. But for now, the Lutheran Church is only a unit, right? So we can only have partnership, especially with our international traditional partner, ELCA, we can only have a relationship with one synod because we are considered like one synod. If our church gets divided into different sections, like a synodical area, each of these synods will have the right to liaise with outside synods and make their partnership. So there will be smaller bishops, one bishop in those places, and you have a presiding bishop. So they'll be able to make their own thing, discuss their own business, their progress and everything. And then we meet as conference of bishops, as other people do. It's a process. It may not end up on time. It may not start on time, but at least we can start the footprint for that. And so that's what we're looking up to discuss.
Do you find that acceptable with your members? With your constituents?
Do what?
Do you think your constituents will support that?
Well, I'm taking it there. All of those who will be present at the conference needs to look at it. Since we all know that it's difficult right now, right? For this one church to be able to establish a partnership that helps support it. When we have these units, but also it will help to what you call decentralize at the bigger level, the operation of the church. So it's not only done by the bishop alone, but at least you have bishops in sub-region. Maybe you could take Upper Lower Lofa, right? Mm-hmm. And make them one synod. You take Upper Lower Bond and make them one synod instead of districts. You take Upper Lower Southeast. So then we reduce from 9 districts maybe to 3 or 4 synods of the Lutheran Church, right? Mm-hmm. And these people can have their own bishop working under the supervision of the presiding or sitting bishop, and then it can go on from there. I hope they will see it. What will happen, and I know we can discuss it, we will be afraid of the full responsibility of running a district, but I'm sure if we understand it, and I can assure everyone who will listen to me that is a possible way out for some of our leadership.
Bishop, before we take leave of you, let's look at the assembly. How many persons who are we expecting to form part of this?
We expect more than 500 persons.
Do you have international guests? Do you have our friends?
We have international guests. We're creating all of our international partners. Some of them will not come. Some of them will be present. We're also rating our local ecumenical partners. favorite churches here. We are also rating government officials. We are rating just friends. But I will hope that our parishes will send in people, because these things are meant for teaching. And if all we have to see people coming for kind of conferences, it's difficult for other people to learn. In fact, it raises the point that people think that, I don't know it, I'm able, that we don't will say it. But if you go to the conference and see what happens there, it gives you confidence. It gives you encouragement to say, oh, I can be myself. So it's intended, basically for this, is intended to say a little bit about what our church is, what our church has been, and what do we need to do to continue and move forward for the best.
Any final message?
I'll be looking forward to seeing everybody. I don't want anybody thinking about sitting fees or that kind of thing, as much as it will be there, because the message we will have, the celebration we have, we're not going to make, this is not a decision-making conference. No, this is a celebration and a steady conference where we want to teach people what can we do, what our church stands for, and what can we do to continuously hold our church in place.
Thank you very much for being with us. I want to thank you very much for watching, who've been in conversation with the Right Reverend Dr. G. Victor Padmore, Bishop of the Lutheran Church in Liberia. He's been joining us through the church history, the Lutheran Church of Liberia, and particularly its 165th birth anniversary. That celebration will be held in Bangabong County. And of course, according to him, over 500 participants are expected to join the celebration and focus more on conversation about the church's sustainability and how they can move the vision of the church after 165 years of existence, and to triumph over challenges and work towards progress. I've been out to be along with my colleague, Moses Cole. We've been having conversation with the Lord Bishop. Until we come your way again, thank you very much for watching.